kind of the TypeScript tea time, but not really. With me, Mirko. Nice to see you, everybody. Today we're doing something slightly different. So I am working on an app, in fact, for quite some time now. The You Are Awesome app, which you cannot yet find here, but I can find it here. Let me show that for a second. Releases, view on Google Play, like that. Yeah, the You Are Awesome app, daily motivation app, and the app is really basically motivational quotes, but with a small change of pace. The quotes don't come from regular, like famous people, but from people like you and me. And yeah, that's what makes it special. So for example, here we have a message from Holly from Scotland. Keep calm and hug your cat. Yeah, and you get one of these messages every day. So one message gets handpicked and then displayed to everybody around the world. These messages get contributed by everybody who has the app can also contribute using this really simple form. Everything is private, so you could also just write something like my nickname is Donald Duck. That's perfectly fine. Yeah. And other than that, yeah, you can like them so that you have kind of a nice list of your favorite quotes, which is also pretty cool. And so today we are going to work on this little friend, and how we work on it. We are working on the backend. So let me maybe go to here and then to my drive. Give me just a sec here. Tea time. And then we want to have a diagram. Draw your, there you go. So I will first of all draw basically the complete backend, essentially all how it all works. And then starting from there, we introduce some changes. So let me close that one, and then we have some diagram here. So this is You Are Awesome app Y3A backend, or actually this is the architecture. So let's draw that. And I am going to use some form of diagram. I suppose blank one is fine. Yeah, authorize. Yep. And there we go. Yeah, there we are. Perfect. Oh, Basic Race is here. Oh. Hey, good to see you. No, the chat is not deactivated. I just... Is it working? Hello? Is the... No, yeah, okay, perfect. Everything is fine. I just was lazy enough to not even start the stream. Hope you are still there. What a glorious day. Praise the sun. Yeah, for me it's raining. How do we deserve this? Yeah, I just felt like it. No. So I always intended to stream more about the awesome app and its development. The only difference here is that today I actually did it. And in particular, I have a specific topic that I want to stream on, which is not completely research. Because the research I basically finished like 2 hours ago or an hour ago. And now from here on, so the research was how do I write these I am row statements. Now we move to the point where we can say, okay, I know how it should work. Now we just have to implement it. All the steps in between are known. Let's see. Let's hope I am actually correct. Yeah, so welcome in. You are definitely visible, and I can hear you. Yep. So let's draw the architecture. So the most important part is the app. So to make it very, very important, I use some special form here. Let's make it this one. This is the "You are awesome" app! Exclamation mark. Let's zoom in. So this is the most important piece. And well, it looks basically like this here. I could start it if you want to. So ping me if you want to see it in action. And from there on, we start with the backend. The backend is fairly, well, it could be simpler. Let's say it like this. We have all our data actually stored inside of a Google Sheet or Google Spreadsheet. And this is our, these are our messages, our daily messages that actually get displayed. And so far, this awesome app here goes essentially directly to the Google Sheets and then pulls it from there because it's public. But what it does, there's one step in between. There's a Lambda function. How do I write Lambdas? Let's see. Maybe like a hexagon. All of these are Lambda functions now. Yep. One called, let's see, GSX2JSON. So that's a project by some GSX2JSON. I hope I write this correctly. Yep. Basically this, so you start with a Google spreadsheet, and what it provides you is either, on the one hand, the columns, and on the other hand, all the rows. We are interested mostly in the rows, because those are our entries. Let me just quickly check if I am able to show that to you without showing any relevant data. Yeah, no, that should be fine. So currently it looks basically like this. We have a header, which is fine, which I maybe should even make. Freeze, insert row, freeze, first row. Thank you. And from there on, we have all the data pairs, data entries. Think of it as a JSON object, because that's how GSX2JSON provides us this thing. So it would have an ID, it would have an ISO date, 2019-10-17. Text, that's the most important part, because that gets displayed right there. As well as the author and where the author is from. So Holly from Scotland here, in this case. So somewhere in here, we should probably also see Holly. There she is. Keep calm and hug the cat, Holly from Scotland. And this then gets displayed. So in our case, we actually have our custom deployed GSX to JSON, but it actually uses this project from right here. Bams. Then so the awesome app essentially pulls the data from this GSX to JSON. GSX to JSON looks into messages, so the Google spreadsheet, and then passes it back to the awesome app. So that's the very basic workflow. This, however, has one issue, because this is very slow. Let's take that arrow. Yep. So let's add some text, maybe a heading. Very slow. So I want to optimize this. This arrow here, essentially. So, or better to say, I want to minimize the amount of these arrows, because this one I cannot really avoid forever, because new messages get placed into this spreadsheet. But I can minimize the amount of requests that we do make. So the goal that we have here is right here. We want to minimize calls to essentially this function. Come here. Oh, interesting. The arrow is inside of there. How did that happen? Like so. Okay. So we want to minimize calls to this. Now the question is, how do we do that? We essentially add a cache layer in between here. So this is the new stuff. We add this cache layer, which is an AWS S3 bucket. AWS S3 bucket. And then some more stuff needs to happen. So AWS 3 is just storage. It's just like your regular, how do you call it? Your regular hard disk. So it cannot make calls itself. But what it can do is being fed into. So somebody can upload stuff into this. So the idea is, what if we call this guy from time to time, like once per day, for example, and put the result of this function, so it only gets called once per day. We put the result of this function into this S3 bucket. And then it's like incredibly fast, because S3 is just so incredibly fast. Yeah, save it. So that's the basic idea. From there, so if users like explode, we might actually move this even one step further, which is fairly simple, into AWS CloudFront, which is like the fastest you can get for caching. The next quicker way would be to essentially save it on the client and only make calls to here very rare, or to here very rarely. But we don't need to go that far, I don't think. So what we do is we introduce this Lambda, so messages to S3, and it invokes this function and it pushes here. Let me make these arrows nicer. Oh, they changed the format. Rounded sketch. Oh no, they didn't. Never mind. Let's do this and that. So this one is a basic call in this function and get the result. Oh. Get. And then we do a kind of push, or let's say upload to the S3 bucket once per day. So how does once per day happen? Give me just 1 second here. And then I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah. That was actually the wrong screen, but whatever. I do have the waiting. I do have a. Is it break? I hope it's break. Yeah, be right back. I can still talk. Anyway, yeah. So how does this one get called daily? And this is where some AWS service comes in, which is AWS CloudWatch, and it's called now Event. So it was called Events, now it's called Event Bridge, apparently. And this one is basically a schedule. So scheduled call one per day. So inside of here, we say, okay, call this function once per day. And then this function retrieves, with the help of JSX to JSON, the messages from Google Sheets, gets the result as a JSON, and then puts everything inside of this AWS 3 bucket by just updating this function day in and day out. Okay? Does that make sense? So we do have some more parts in this fun little diagram, because, for example, so it's not only the You Are Awesome app that's calling the S3 bucket, or currently this JSX to JSON function. It is also the push notifications, which I think, yeah, they are also a Lambda function. So these are push notifications. So sending them, send push notification Lambda. And it also will look at this AWS S3 bucket. And then, yeah, and then send the messages instead of, as it currently does, also call this function here, which actually takes quite some compute minutes from us. Yeah, and I think that's the basic idea. We do have also to change some settings up here. So when we register push notifications, but that's something that I will not draw now, but maybe later. Okay, for the time being, that's about our plan. And I did start, and I did some research here with these messages to S3. So we are using the serverless framework. And what I did add here is a function called export messages to S3. So let's call it that. Oh no. Export messages to S3. And what it does right now is basically nothing. So the function essentially just, okay, says I was invoked, success. So it actually does nothing. But in case something goes wrong with just returning, which is not possible, I think, it still throws an error or sends back an error. What we want to do is have this get. And one critical part for this is that inside of AWS, you have to provide the correct permissions to this Lambda function so that it can call this Lambda function. And this is the research that I did. So what we use for that is the serverless IAM roles per function plugin, which is from, oops, my bad. Right here. So that's one thing. And then that's not correct. And then we have this IAM role statement, which says, okay, export messages to S3, you are allowed to call a Lambda function, invoke a Lambda function, another Lambda function. And which Lambda function are you allowed to access? It's this GSX2JSON Lambda function. And that's defined up here and already existing. So that's this function here, which doesn't look too hard. Basically, it just has a get endpoint, and that's it. Yeah, so that's essentially the permissions for this part being set inside of this IAM role statement. This slightly strange, yeah, let's say syntax. Yeah, syntax, this slightly strange syntax comes from AWS CloudFormation. It's called, I think, implicit functions, AWS. Intrinsic functions. Okay, my bad. Yeah, intrinsic functions. If you use CloudFormation, then you can essentially, when CloudFormation tries to run it, right before it actually runs, it resolves those dependencies or those functions, and you don't have to hard code any values thanks to that. And in this case, it gives us the unique identifier, the ARN, Amazon Resource name, yeah, of this Lambda function. Okay, so that's one part. That's the part for this arrow. And now the second part is this schedule once per day. And that's actually inbuilt into serverless. All we do is schedule and then say which rate. So how often. I hope rate is the correct term. AWS event bridge scheduled events. Rate versus. So we could also provide it in cron job format, but then it runs on a defined schedule. Yeah, I think it will run then. I don't know why they call it rate, but whatever. it will call it once per day. I think at the time of when I created this. So that should be more or less fine. With AWS, sorry, with cron, we could actually define which minute and which hour and which days of the week we want to run this function. But I think rate 1 day is perfectly fine, and it's definitely more readable than a cron job. Like, I mean, if you look at this, what's that supposed to mean? Right? Or here, 534.14 star question mark star. Not very readable. 1 day or once per day is more readable, I think. So now we have this guy. We do have the permissions to do this guy. We also need permissions, I think, to allow this one. So that's one more thing. But let's first invoke this function. To do that, let's ignore this one. So I'm going to stage everything. And from now on, we are doing some JavaScript and TypeScript. We do need the AWS SDK. Do I have it actually installed? Expo? No. So I did have some tutorial here. Thank you, tutorial. So kudos to Lawrence Stewart. We need the AWS SDK npm. Thank you. Whoops. And then we install it. And from there, we can actually start using it. So the first thing that we have to do apparently is initiate it with a region. Well, how do we get the region? We probably have to set some environment variable there. Although we are always, so I am always working in EU Central, Frankfurt, for compliance reasons. So EU people have to be hosted in the EU and stuff. So that's the simplest for me. Now we can, I think, import imp. Come on, VS Code. Thank you. From AWS SDK, and we want to import Lambda. That didn't work. Equals expected. Did it work? Yeah. Lambda. Interestingly, oh, because okay, I made a typo. And now Lambdas, hopefully. Yeah, now we get auto completion and there is Lambda. So that's what we want. And now, do we want to do this inside of the handler, or can we actually do it outside? So const Lambda equals new Lambda of, I think, new Lambda of, so we need a region, I suppose. And the region comes from an environment variable, I think, which is the region. Well, let's call it AWS region. And this environment variable we can inject with the help of, oops, with the help here of our friend Serverless. So I think we just do this and that, and then say self:region. Is that it? Or provider region. Let's look at the serverless. Let's look at the documentation. Serverless get region. Self provider dot region. Okay, yeah. Self provider dot region. So it looks at this serverless YAML, it looks into the provider line, and then it takes dot region, which is EU central one in our case. So that's good. Then from there on, we of course need to do process.env. And one thing I always like to do is if not process.env throw new error missing env var. That just helps us with debugging. Like so. Then we can process.env.aws region. Okay. And now we can use it. We can say lambda.invoke invokes a lambda function. You can invoke it synchronously and wait for the response, or asynchronously. Okay, invoke. It takes a callback. Why does it not take a lambda function? That's confusing me. So how does she do it here? Invoke params. Okay, yeah, params function name, invoke type, payload is what we send to the lambda. We don't need that. We just want function name and the invoke type. So we say, no, autocompletion also works. Apparently it has it has overloads. Okay, that's why. Code and idea. Welcome to the stream. Are you trying to recode this code from JS to TS? I am actually not. This is TypeScript, as you can see here. What I am trying to do is the following. Where's my diagram? Diagram, where are you? Here. So I have this infrastructure. So our app, so this app here, whenever it wants to display this message, whenever it wants to display this message, it currently goes directly essentially to Google Sheets, which is rather slow. So getting something from Google Sheets is like, oh, you wait a second at least, probably more. And we do, because of course there needs to be, so I want it in a proper format. I'm not going directly to Google Sheets, but I first go into something that gives it to gives the Google Sheet data to me in a nice format, in a JSON. So one row is one JSON object. And so the round trip currently that we have is every time you essentially refresh this view, or every day, because you get push notifications once per day, the app will call this function, which then makes a very slow call to the Google Sheets API, which then responds we do some processing, and it gets back. And the whole round trip is really slow, like 2 seconds, and you don't want to wait 2 to 3, 4 seconds, and you don't want to wait that time. You essentially want to start the app, it loads very, very quickly, and whabams. I think there's something called with 400 milliseconds that you want your computer to respond, or your application to respond to your input. So if you start the app, you want it essentially in 400 milliseconds or less, ideally. And that's not possible as long as I'm going the round trip to Google Sheets API. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a caching layer, which is this arrow here that we're working on. And we're pushing everything into AWS S3 once per day. Does that make sense? By the way, Google Sheets sends the data in like incredibly terrible format. It's like 12 times nested or something. Or let's say at least 6 times nested JSON data. It's incredibly terrible. Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do here. And I'm currently working on this function which exports these once per day, essentially goes to Google Sheets, gets the data, and then uploads it into S3 in a nice format, in a nice JSON format. And yeah, S3 bucket is just so fast, incredibly fast. So we can probably reach the 400 milliseconds with this. Yep, that's the idea. So what we are working on here currently, what I'm trying to do with AWS SDK is invoke this function here, so that it gives me the correct result in a nice way. I could in theory also just make a function call to this, and call this function instead, but I don't know, it breaks a little bit the layering I find. So the function name that we want to call, name formats, function name, we can provide the function ARN, which is good because we have that in we already know how to get that in serverless. So let's go to process.env. So GS, what's it called? GSX to JSON function ARN or Lambda ARN. Vamps. And also we take this. It is probably, yeah, we fix that in a minute. To do fix type by validating process.env. So we do this, and then we say, oops, that was a bit too much. Just validating it very simply. And now we need to set this environment variable as well in our serverless. So we have the export messages to S3 function, which calls our handler function. And we set the environment right here. And we already know how to get it in by doing this. Do we have to put it like, I think I have to put it like that. I hope that works. Yeah, we can see it in a minute, I hope. So from there, with my function, yeah, we do get some response. The question is, how does the response look like? It's a Lambda invoke response or an AWS error. So rest dot returns the denable promise. I thought didn't he say it's synchronous? Send async. How do we do that in the tutorial that we were looking at? Let me move that down. No, what is happening? Close this one. Move this one here. Thank you. They just return it. Okay. That's annoying. So my best guess here is we await this promise and we say const the actual response. So this is actually not the invoke, and then we get the response, right? And this is now a promise result, Lambda invocation response, or AWS error. Maybe let's look at the invocation type here for a second. Oh, they don't have it typed nicely. Choose from the following options. Request response, invoke the function synchronously. Keep the connection open until the function returns a response or times out. The API response includes the function response. Maybe. Okay, so it's wherever there's a dot, we make an enter. It's easier to read. So the API response includes the function response and additional data. Okay, so event invoke the function asynchronously, send events that fail multiple times to the function's dead letter queue. We don't want event, dry run. Validate parameter values and verify that the user or role has permissions to invoke the function, I suppose. It should say function, I guess. I think we can just do the immediate thing, which is request response. Okay, so that didn't help us. What else do we have? Payload is what we send to the Lambda as input. That's not what we want. Client context we also don't want. Okay. In that case, let's maybe just log the response here. JSON.stringify res. Something like that. And then see what happens. So to do that, we do have serverless offline, but I don't know how it works in this case. I think we do need to do one thing, maybe. For the time being, let's make this also accessible. Not only via the schedule, but we also make it a get function, which we can call at /test, for example. And now we try to run it. And I hope serverless offline actually gives us some information. So serverless offline is a way to increase the development time. Oh, sorry, decrease development cycle time, because we can interact with our functions on localhost. The problem that I see here is, I mean, all those row statements probably don't apply. And I also don't know how serverless, so how internally this call to lambda.invoke will get resolved. That's a little bit of a mystery to me. So yeah, let's just try it maybe. We do call this function. And here's the response. We get error true. That's slightly too large, maybe. Error true, message 1. Validation error detected. Value object at function name failed to satisfy constraint. Member must satisfy regular expression. ARN colon something something something. Colon lambda colon something. So probably my guess is that when we called invoke with this value here, it wasn't properly resolved. Console.log. That's my guess. Did I close it already? I did close it, I guess. That's compiled. Yeah. The validation. So we got the same error. But what I hope to see is now the object. Why is it an object? That's interesting. I mean, it's a... I didn't even know that you can call process env with... wait. Invoked. Yeah, this one is an object. Wait, what? How can that be an object? Process.env should be a string or undefined. Oh, that's probably the magic of serverless. Serverless offline that injects it wrongly. So now what do we see here? Oh, it gets... Did we set the lambda wrong? The environment variable wrong? So it should be this value. But now it's an object. I think we have to do this. If we do it like this, it becomes an object. If we do it like this, I hope it is the value, but I'm not sure. Let's see. I think we have to restart the whole thing. Time for some tea. Yeah. Code and Nadia, how did you find us actually? I'm curious. What's the ways of getting into this stream are still a mystery to me. Because I don't know, Twitch search it never works for me. When I try to find some interesting streams, it usually doesn't work the way I want it to. So it still says object. Okay, so maybe serverless ARN via environment variable. Lambda ARN environment variable. Lambda function guide, use AWS Lambda. I want this kind of string, but it doesn't do it. How can I make it do it? Function ARN. Serverless use fn get in for environment variable. Like here. Do you use it? Yeah, this guy tries to do the same thing. So trying to deploy a function that depends on the custom resource I specified. I would like to set the output value of some resources to environment variable at the function level. Unfortunately, it fails because the Lambda function seems to be deployed first and the output values are not yet exported. That's the issue for him. So apparently it QURL, QARN. So he does it like this, which is, I think, the same that we do, just in a different syntax. But we can try that as well. Maybe it is due to us using what's it called? Because we are using serverless. Come on. Serverless offline. And we are not actually deploying, so it might not correctly call this function. Like, because usually CloudFormation would do it. That's kind of annoying. That is kind of annoying. So let's try it one more time, and if it doesn't, we try to deploy this version here and then see where the things happen in real life. Definitely makes debugging more complicated. Yeah, that didn't work. Object. Okay. In that case, we do this, we do that, we do stuff. Why deploy? And we just deploy it, I guess. So did I do anything terribly wrong? So we set this one, we set this one, and we expose it via test, which is fine for now. We will remove that in a second. And wait. This is object right now, but the format, so the format is broken. What is JSON.stringify of a string? JSON.stringify hello. Yeah, okay. It escapes the string thing as well. Control C. And now we do a deployment, I guess. Let's do it. Deploy. Yeah. Come on, yeah. Deploy the thing. So this will take just a few seconds, I guess, and then we are back and we can go to AWS. So where I am logged in. And so here we can already see that we do have a rule for invoking it once per day, which is good. But now we want to go to Lambda. Did you finish? No, not yet. And then we want to see the output. I suppose we can just go to the serverless dashboard. Oh, that's the wrong one. Serverless dashboard of Amazon. Sign in. So, ooh. an error code. Export something something didn't work anymore. View the full error output at this thing. So export messages to S3 Lambda function. Resource handler returned message. Lambda was unable to configure your environment variable because the environment variable you have provided contains reserved keys that are currently not supported for modification. Oh, AWS region is a word that I'm not allowed to use. Okay, I can live with that. I can just call it region instead. Nothing ever happened. Like so, and that's it. AWS region. Yeah, that's it. Try again. So that one was simple. we didn't reach anything yet. So except that we're down. The deployment failed apparently. Did it actually destroy my CloudFormation? No, CloudFormation should be update rollback complete. Oh yeah, okay. So we are still online, but CloudFormation noticed, oh, something went wrong. Let's maybe not deploy this guy. Okay, good to know. Come on, you can do it. This looks better, does it? I think it's doing the update right now. Update in progress. Yeah, there we go. So what are you guys up to? What are you working on? I'm very curious. Yeah, it's always nice to find other developers who talk about their projects, and yeah, just see how they build stuff. So we have this get endpoint now. The deployment was actually done, and we should be able to see this in green now. That's perfect. We can go inside and see that our... Oh, does it get invoked immediately? GSX to JSON gets invoked immediately. Wait, why? Does it? Why only GSX to JSON? That's the thing that I'm more curious about. Because I could understand if this one gets immediately deployed because we have this schedule set up. Called. That this one gets called because we have the schedule set up. And it immediately triggers if you redeploy it. And this guy then calls GSX to JSON. But I do not understand why that's like way in the past. Never mind. Never mind. So let's look at function invocations of export messages. There we go. And let's actually call it. So we can do it like though. Bams. Curl. Doesn't work because of the space. Success. Did it just work? It would be just fantastic. It's also a surprise to me that it just works. But yeah, I definitely won't complain. It definitely didn't error up front, which is good. Sorry, I don't want to I do want to go to CloudWatch and see the logs of this function, which I do see. Custom alerts, outputs. Wasn't there a way to see the? I think as soon as it shows up here, I can click on it. It is a code start, and now we can see the logs. It says, perfect, it works. Sweet, we did it. Exclamation mark, high five. Boom, good job team, high five. And everybody drink some tea. So now, so this guy gets injected correctly. The not so fun stuff is that doesn't work with so SLS offline. That's the bad thing. But nevertheless, we can live with that, I think. So now the next step that we want to do, let's go into our diagram here again. Where is my Chrome window? Chrome. There we go. Put that one there. Put that one there. With all of these, can remove that one. Can remove that one. We can also remove that one, and that one, and that one. So now we can actually completely do this one. Yay! We have a. Do we have a check mark here? Check mark icon. Give that to me. Copy image. Put it there. Do they have a check mark? Check mark. Yes. Do they have a green one? I want a green one. Well, that works, I guess. It's very large. But we do have this one. We also have this one. And we also have kind of this function already deployed. So now the next guy that we need to tackle is this here. By the way, we do have this AWS S3 bucket running already. It is defined in our serverless as a custom resource right here, current message bucket. Yeah. Maybe I rename it into messages bucket and call this one current messages as well. We just make an S here. Well, we can just do also this dot resources dot messages bucket dot bucket name. Okay, let's keep it simple. All right. So we do want to use this bucket here. So we again need to have a I am row statement. By the way, I think I said that this minus makes it into an object, but it's actually an array. Yeah, it's an array, not an object. So we want to have an allow effect, and we want to have the action being S3 colon, I think it's put. So AWS S3 upload permission. permissions Lambda. Grant the Lambda access Lambda execution permission to access my AWS S3 bucket. They have get object, then it's probably put object S3 colon put object. Object to object, put object. Here we go. Adds an object to the bucket. You must have write permission on the bucket to add an object to it. This is get. That's fine. We do not get grant Lambda upload or write permissions. Upload permissions to S3. I don't want to execute it. To allow Lambda principal. All that I need is the name. If it's put object or what, assume role. Oh, do we have to create a different role? That would be annoying. That would be pretty annoying. Put object. Put object ACL. I think that's about it. So what does this one do? Uses the ACL subresource to set the access control list permissions for a new or existing object in an S3 bucket. Yeah, perfect. That's what we need. So we want this one and we do want this one. And we also need to define the resource, and that's going to be, again, we make this in not implicit, intrinsic function call to get the attribute, and we want to get the ARN again, the Amazon resource name of. Now comes the fun part. We want resources. Is it just messages bucket? Yeah. So I will look into this serverless state JSON now, but I will do it off screen, because it might contain some important data that I don't want to share. Bucket policy, deployment bucket. Reference. Current message bucket. It's just the bucket. It's just the bucket name. No. Current message bucket. I suppose that's it. And then we have to go back because that's what it was called before. Let's revert these changes so that I do not introduce too many changes at the same time. And I hope that works. Yeah, I can only hope you. A little bit of guesswork, to be honest. Unfortunately. So, is that it? Let me check this once more here. Did I ESX to JSON Lambda function? Where's my bucket? Current message bucket. Yeah, I hope that's it. Let's try. So now we have access to the bucket, hopefully. Via the ARN, exactly. And now we need to, where's my diagram? There we go. We need to, so permissions are done. We also need to call it now. So we need to do some put work. So I will stage this for just a second. We do have the data here. And how did the data actually look like? Do you guys remember? ID query parameter must be provided. Oh, it failed. Status code 400. So we do have to provide a parameter. We do that by doing payload. How do I actually provide the parameter to a the query parameter to a Lambda function? Invoke function. If anybody of you knows, please tell me or point me to the right resource. Invoke function with query parameters. That's, oh, maybe this query string parameters ID. This might actually be what we are looking for. Yeah, we definitely don't have any nice auto TypeScript support here, unfortunately. So maybe this one. And I do want to provide the following. Let's get the ID here. Which messages? This guy. So this is what we're trying to accomplish essentially. So the ID is from here to there. And we also want to provide sheet 1 and columns false. Everything must be string parameters because it's the query string parameters. And that hopefully works. Maybe deploy again. Yeah, so there's a simpler way actually to deploy just one function or two functions. But I haven't set that up. I would need to set up a proper environment for that. So let's give it a minute. I'll be right back as soon as this completes, and then we'll see each other again. All right, we're back, but CloudFormation hasn't finished yet. Should be just a minute, I hope. There we go. It's done. Let's call this function. And I do get the following result. Error true. Message. Expected params to payload to be a string, buffer, stream, blob, or typed array object. Okay. That's interesting. So that didn't work, definitely. This needs to be a blob. Can we... A string... How do we do that? Pass query string to Lambda with invoke. So I want to invoke Lambda using invoke method and pass a query string. What are you trying to do? The invoke operation does not accept any query string parameters. No! In a proxy feature, then your Lambda function would be getting a payload like so. It's just a part of the event and not actually sent in the Lambda API as actual query string parameters. Did he figure it out at some point? Yes, that's what you would have to do. Calling invoke directly is an RPC call. There is no HTTP query string in it. Okay, yeah. That's all a part of the API gateway integration. Okay, so we are not using an API gateway when we call invoke. So what we need to do is essentially simulate whatever gets passed into this nice little function here. Where is it? ESX to JSON, index, event. And this function receives an object with query string parameters and the HTTP method get. Really? Is it that simple? But how do we... What's invoking the proxy function API gateway? If it's using the payload would be like this. Body, something, headers, blah, 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 blah. So this is a complete event. That's this parameter. What we want is to provide this one with query string parameters. And that's pretty much it. So like we did here, the only problem is that we need to stringify it. Maybe because it's passed over the network. Stringify it or blobify it. Lambda blob. What's the lambda blob? Buffer, uint array, uint8 array, blob or string. Or we can use a blob probably. Blob is empty. Huh? That's supposed to mean? Again, if any of you guys has any idea, feel free to chime in. I'm very curious, and any help will definitely be appreciated. The payload, the JSON that you want to provide to your Lambda function as input. Yeah, that's what I thought, but apparently not. Lambda node invoke payload. Function name payload buffer. Payload. That was definitely much faster, interestingly. Did I not save? Loading. It's success. Fully did it? Did it? But did it really? Let's see. We need to go to the Explorer and wait for the invocation to show up here. Come on, you can do it. Serverless, be faster. Otherwise, we have to go to good old CloudWatch. Explorer, log groups. There we go. And we want export messages to S3. And we want the newest one, which is probably this one. It says invoked. And there's a very long... Hey, it worked! Status code 200, body, rows. It just works, it just works, it just works. I mean, we did do some work, but other than that, it just works. Did we call it twice? Did I paste it twice? Okay. Remove the first one. And then clean this one slightly. Clean this one up slightly. So all of these guys, I want them to be just regular. Oh my goodness. Everything is slow. What is happening? Okay, that worked. And then I want all of these guys to just be enter. Well, that didn't work. Suppose it's this. Oh no, what are you doing? And now we take language mode, JSON, and we say format document. Can it do it? No, it can't. That's too bad. Because this is not a JSON, the part at the very beginning. And can it do it now? No, something is wrong here. Wherever there is this combination, needs to be changed. And then there are some more. Ah, damn it. But it looks good. So what's important here is we have object dot, so we do dot payload dot body so on the one hand we take what dot status code must be equal to 200, so assert this, and then we take so payload dot body dot rows dot body dot rows, and then we get this very long object with stuff. So we take all of this, we take all of that, we do the following response. There we go. So if, is it a string or is it actually a, yeah, it's a string. It appears to be a string, yeah. So if, yeah, the payload itself is a string. Okay, so that's one more thing to remember. Why does it say body.body? Is that correct? Payload, body, and then rows. There's no double body. So if res.status code is not equal to 200, throw a new error. Fetch from GSX to JSON Lambda failed. Yep. So that's one part. Probably also want to log all the stuff that we did receive. So let's do that as well. Right here, console.error json.stringify res. And then we call the error. So we do assert that the response code is 200. And now we can get the body. What we do to do that is we do res.payload dot json.parse the payload. Or not. Blob is not assignable to parameter of type string. Buffer is not, is unknown as string. Yeah. Because we know our function does not return a buffer, it just returns a string. Because we are writing the other Lambda function as well. So we do this, then, and it is defined actually. We do get the, what is it now? The body or response body essentially. No, that's the, okay, dot body. Was there a body in between? Payload, body, and then rows. Okay, we try to parse. If it fails, we have this catch anyway, try catch, and we take the body. If that's the case, we can just take the rows. So this is our messages. These are our messages. Okay. These should be our messages now. And with that, we can write it into AWS S3. Now let's look maybe at the Lambda function and see whether we actually did provide the correct Amazon resource name. So somewhere we should have export messages to S3. We look at the configuration, we look at the permissions, and we see nothing. No, that's annoying. Well, that's annoying. Inline policy, blah, blah. Yeah, that's good. Now, how do we grant permission to S3? Okay, so before we grant permissions, because I know it needs some research, let's upload stuff. So we take, suppose we can just say S3 here. Yeah, that was easy. And we do S3 dot. So we need to do new S3 probably of also the region. So maybe we do that up here. Const S3 equals this guy. Bams. And now we can use it. So S3 dot put object, and we want to, how do we use it? Can probably do object. We do provide the bucket. Yeah, thank you. I want to see the bucket name to which the put action was initiated. Okay, so that's probably what we get via an environment variable again, process.env. Bucket name. Bams. Bucket name. And then we do go into serverless. We add this environment variable here, the bucket name, which is self : resources dot is it important whether I write this in capitals or not? Let's hope. Where were we? Here. Resources dot current message bucket dot properties dot bucket name And that's it. I think that's also what we want to use here, actually. So that's hopefully it. And then we can probably do some more. So bucket name, yeah, it's definitely assigned. And yes, I do want to have all of these to-dos here. So now I need to have the can't ACL to apply to the object. It's not supported by S3 on outposts. That's fine. So we want public read here. Because the messages should be consumed by the application, by our app. Where is it? Right here. Also by some others, but most importantly, it should be consumed by this guy. And then what else? We want probably the body. S3 body. It's again a string, a blob, a buffer. So we probably want to have, what is blob? Blob is again nothing. A buffer, binary, ASCII, just a string, I guess. JSON.stringify. Is that what we want? Well, let's see. We want to stringify messages. And now interesting stuff happens because something is missing. Apparently the key, the object key for which the put in action was initiated. Let's call it messages. And then dot promise probably. And then we say const object upload equals, or messages upload equals this. And we await it. Upload response. And then we can look at how does this one look like. It's a promise result. E-tag, blah, 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 blah. That's all fine, I suppose. Bucket key enabled, expiration, whatever, version ID. That's fine. I suppose that's it. We just put it and finish. And that's it. Now the fun part comes with the permissions. That's going to be interesting again. Let me quickly change this one here. Res body object, because it looks nicer. And then in that case we can probably do promise right here. Don't need to do it here. And we say await the invoke. And we also want to have this as response. That one worked. We can remove that part. Fix the, yeah, I do have a note for that. I don't need to say that it's invoked. I Do you want to assert anything here? Const x or res, or I don't know what, x dot response expiration. Well, I suppose we just await it and then hope that it works. Okay. We do not have permissions. That's definitely one thing that is going to break our neck here. Export messages, Lambda permission events rule schedule. That's not relevant for us. We do have permissions to the API gateway. That's also not relevant to us. We need permissions for the Lambda function to be invoked, to invoke the, we need permissions of the S3 bucket to be invoked by the by this Lambda. So S3 permissions to, I think maybe we have to set it on the bucket instead, and not vice versa, because currently I'm trying to attach it to the Lambda function. But did we already deploy, by the way? Kind of forgot that. I think we did try to, right? So list objects in bucket, allow. Let's see here. Let's maybe also take a look at the actual S3 bucket, which we do have, hopefully. Its current message, which is here. It does have an ARN, which is good. The question is, I think you put it on the S3 bucket, if I remember correctly. To use this, replace something for the create a policy. Who do I attach this to? I suppose it's the bucket, huh? So instead of doing this, we need to add that to the resource. Oh man, then hopefully that works. Yeah, I doubt this will work, to be honest. Wait, is it like that? Really? Serverless grant permission to write to bucket. Create a bucket, upload your function zip files to the bucket. That's not what we want, right? List bucket. Join something. How to get access to the bucket? So we do not have access right now, right? I didn't just miss it. If I go to this guy and I see configuration, I see that. Wait, what? Oh, I just missed it. I suppose I just missed it. Because if I click here and I go to the S3 bucket, I have these guys. In that case, let's deploy everything. Oh, something is happening. Value not self found at self source something. Why not? Bucket name. You cannot find this one. In that case, let's keep it simple. We just copy and paste this for now, because this is definitely not our worst problem. And say, okay. Come on, you can do it. Hasn't even started. It hasn't even started yet. Yep. Come on. Oh yeah. By the way, I just received. Oh, see you in a second. All right. We are back and it finished deploying. So let's see whether something happens. Let's go to S3 because that's where the final action actually happens. And we go into the current messages and it's currently empty, which is kind of what we expected. And what we do expect now, if I call this function, is that it will redeploy, or it will put a file inside of here, and the file looks like this rows and yeah, like the output of the Google Sheets table if we put it as a JSON. Call the function. It takes a long time. X tonight. Damn it. Okay. That was unfortunate. We apparently at least had the correct like code for uploading something. Is what I'm guessing here. So there we go. Tell me what I did wrong. Yes. Hello? Oh, okay. Yeah. X denied. Add request, extract error. Code access denied. State machine something. This guy is our current ARN. Why do I still print that? Console.log. Yeah, that can go down, can go away. The access denied goes to some bucket. The question is, did we have the correct bucket name here? How do we actually how do we see that? Yeah, let's just log the bucket name. I think we can just go into parameters. Is it parameters? No. Definitely inside of the AWS console, we can go to the Lambda function and see its configuration again, and we see its environment variables. And what we see is that we have your awesome app current message, which hopefully coincides with the Lambda bucket name. Sorry, S3 bucket name. And if I do this, it's exactly the same name. So one question to ask is, do we actually provide the bucket name or the bucket ARN here? You must direct access to the access point host name. So what I'm expecting is that even if we provide a wrong bucket name, one that doesn't exist, we just get access denied due to not exposing whether this bucket exists or not. Okay, AWS SDK, put object S3 example Node.js. So they do file data, file name. Content type is also interesting. I think we should set that. Content type. Content encoding. Let's AWS SDK object upload to S3 content type and so on. Okay, content type. There we go. Application slash JSON. What else do we need here? Comma. Content language is not relevant. Content MD5 is not relevant. Encoding. No, that's also not relevant. I think that's it. If you want to do it without, the one thing that I can think of is maybe our permissions are not enough to set the access control lists, ACL. So maybe let's just remove it for now and then hope. Comma 2. That makes it slightly nicer. Das file upload to S3. Have application slash octet stream. Whatever. That's again the same that we had before, right? Bucket. Blah blah. Yeah, no, the bucket name seems to be correctish. In that case, actually, it's really just it probably really is the permissions. It probably really is the permissions. Is that a to do here? So that I don't forget about this to do. Re-upload, read stream, blah blah blah. Wait, what? Dot upload. Uploads as an arbitrary size buffer, blob, or stream using intelligent concurrent handling of parts. The payload is too large. Not necessary. I think we can just put the object. You have to have write permission on the bucket to add an object to it. 3 never adds partial objects. If you receive a success response, everything is fine. Other than that, let's go here again. S3 permissions. Create permissions for the blah blah blah. Get bucket ACL. Put object resource. That one was correct, right? Lambda. Export S3, configuration, permissions, and then we look at this guy, which says, you're awesome, current message, allow put object, ACL is, do we have to specify it further? No, right? prefix. No, we can just provide the bucket name. So that one looks all right. Principal. Don't think we need a principal. Or do we? This is if we want to add a policy to the bucket, I think. Access denied. How do we do this? Lambda. Write permission. Add 3 write permissions. Cross account 403. No. The following policy on the S3 bucket. Do we have to set the policy on the bucket instead? Created by a Lambda role. After looping for a while, I couldn't make it work. The process is create the bucket, create an IAM policy, create an IAM role, create a Lambda function, create the S3 bucket policy. Policy looks like this: put object, 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 tagging. Probably can do this with like this. AWS permissions, whitelist. Is it whitelist? Star. That's also not it. Permissions, any all permissions. I think you write it with a star, but I forgot. We can check it by going to IAM, but I will not go to IAM on screen. Sorry about that. Let me go to IAM quickly and see how it has to look like. So if I go to policies here and create a new policy. From now on, we can look again, I think. S3 object Lambda. What are you? No. What is S3 object Lambda? S3 object Lambda. Is that maybe when it calls back? When you store data in S3, you can easily share it for use by multiple applications. However, each application has its own requirements and may need a different view of the data. For example, the dataset created by an e-commerce application may include personally identified information that is not needed when the same data is processed for analyzing. It should be redacted. Blah, 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 blah. I want to access it vice versa. That doesn't seem to be it. We take S3. We want to have write permissions. And with replication configuration, that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. We want to have, so I will do this off screen again to not show all my resources. We'll specify a specific bucket, and bucket name is You Are Awesome App. You Are Awesome App minus current message. Okay, that's the bucket that we want to write to. Specify access points. I don't think we need access point. We do want I think that's it, huh? Next. Next. Why does it say multiple resources? Request conditions, blah, blah, blah. Debug Y3A is Lambda export to S3. Create the policy. So this is the name of the policy. And now I need to probably attach it to the S3 bucket. Legal current message. There we go. Permissions. Object can be public. Bucket policy. Object ownerships, ACLs. Cause. S3 bucket, right, policy, AWS, or Lambda. From the list of IAM roles, choose the role that you want to create, blah, blah. Isn't this what we are doing? Exactly. \**. Is that it? That would be so silly. that would be terribly silly. So IAM statements effect allow put object Ooh, we need to join this. Maybe, just maybe, I can do it manually for just a second, and then we try to figure out how it works with serverless. View the role document, I guess. There it is. Put log events, put object. And I do want here a \***. Actually, the question is how? How do I change this role document? I suppose I can just go to IAM role, roles, and then go to the corresponding role and say, okay, yeah, friend, you look already beautiful, but let's also make you have \1 warning. Bucket object. Oh. Oh. Object. Is put actually correct? Wait. It's an object to a bucket. Why do I have to provide an ARN if I add a new object? Maybe if I do this, does that help? Specify let's do it like this for now. Maybe. Yeah. Can do it. Let's run the test again. Hope it doesn't block us again. Success. It worked. Oh my goodness. I don't know which part it worked, made it work, but we can find out. It wasn't too much. So I leave that one open. That's important. I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't probably need you. I probably also don't need you and you. I do want to go to S3. And come on. The messages is there. And I cannot actually look at it because its ACLs are forbidden currently. So if I do this, AWS, just let me double check the ACL. S3, AWS SDK, S3, put object ACL. I think it's read minus public minus read. But I can't remember maybe it's also public minus read or public subscore underscore read. Public minus read. Come on, tell me. Use a bucket that grants public read access. Public read. Yeah, okay, so that's fine. We can make this public read. And then we can actually see it. Then the next question is, what actually fixed our fun stuff here? So let's do this again. With put object star. I don't think this was fixing it. I do think the actual fix happened when we said where did it go? I do think the fix happened when we said this. Wait, what? Here, I said any. Actually. Not here. For whatever reason, it's gone. Wait, what? Wait, what? Reload. AWS, what are you doing to me? Policy summary. S3. Bucket name, string like all. Now it just tests everything. Access to everything. Oh, that's not what we want. That's definitely not what we want. Come on, we can do this. We can do this. And when that's actually finished, I'm very happy also to end the stream for today. So I think that was it. We can reload here for a second. We should now see. Yeah. This looks much better. So it now allows put object star and it allows it on this resource. Maybe we have to set the /star right there. That's going to be a difficult journey. Edit the policy. I do want to edit the JSON and I do just say /star. Review. Yeah, save. Now it's says /star. If I rerun this, I still get access denied. Well, that's annoying. That's definitely annoying. Damn, how did we fix it? Oh no, we broke it. We broke it. We fixed it. We broke it. I added the policy. And I say put object. So S3. Because it's already on S3. That's fine. I do want put object legal hold. What's that supposed to mean? Do I need this? Put bucket cores, put bucket logging. Where's the ACL? Actually, ACL is not there. Permission management. Here we go. Put object ACL, put object version ACL. Okay. That's fine, I guess. That looks good. This one also looks good. But it still doesn't work. It works! Wait, did I change anything? Ah, I did change the \* once more. Is that the... Let's do this once more. To see whether that's the actual thing. Ah, we did change something, yeah. Sorry. Let me throw that away and say star right here. And now we deploy again. And hopefully we don't need to provide this \*. We just have to wait for a second until all the permissions, because it's, I think permissions are, yeah, all of IAM is eventually consistent. So maybe it didn't sync through the complete system when we tried it first. That's my hope. The other option is that we need to add a /* right behind of this, which is going to be interesting. Let's see. In case that happens, serverless intrinsic function chaining. Or CloudFormation. Maybe nested, not chaining. Nested intrinsic functions. CloudFormation function inside of function inside of function. It looks good. It should be something like this then, : I think join. And then we say, okay, yeah, we want to join you, capital N, F. And we want to join you with the following. Yeah, that must be an array. We want to join you with the following: a string containing \*. And that should be it, I hope. And then, where's my function? Function, where are you? It works, it works, it works already, so we don't need to do this. We move it again. Save. Stage it. It works. It just works. It just works. It just works. And now inside of serverless, we should see a couple of things happening. Namely, one function calling another, which calls well, we won't see that part, but it does call We do get API errors. No. Is that in the last 15 minutes? No, it isn't. Ah. Whew. It works. 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 And now we can also. This seems to be fine if we. So without the. When did we set the backslash? I think AWS actually did not update it because it thought it didn't change. Maybe. Yeah, I'm fairly sure actually. So if we do, oh no, oh no, I think so. I think the important part here is that we have to do the backslash star. And then it works. Let's look on the bucket name, messages. Okay. Oh, it's just called messages. It should be called messages.json. That's one more thing that we should change then. So yeah, it's called messages. It should be called messages.json. And it should be visible now. Oh no, it's empty. Oh no, it's absolutely empty. Why art thou empty? Did we look at the wrong messages version? Oh no, it's empty. Okay, one more thing to do. So we're not quite there yet, unfortunately. Type is also not set. Why not? I do set the content type here. Application/JSON. That's interesting. Okay, so a few things now. We need to fix, first of all, verify that when changing this guy, everything works fine. Put object and put object ACL here. And now we redeploy, I suppose. Add this one into .json, which is definitely fine. Public read has worked. Does this one get updated? No, it wasn't updated apparently. Yeah, it wasn't updated. So that's probably an issue. Karim STM, are you building a project from scratch? If yes, from where should I start? So it is a project that I started from scratch, yes. But I started it like 2 years ago or something. Yeah, I think 2 years by now. And it's actually this app that you can see here, which is not published yet, but we're getting close. An app where you get a daily motivational quote, either by opening the app and then it automatically loads the newest message and shows it to you, or via push notifications. Where do those messages come from? They come from you and me, people like you and me, some from all over the world. Using this app, they will just send some contribution to, like, I believe in you, my friend. Mike from England is saying this here. Or we have also some more funny stuff, like keep calm and hug the cat, for example, from Holly from Scotland. And this kind of gives you the boost, or some boost for starting your day. You can also favorite. Also, like Insta style, you double click on the message here, or double tap, because it's an app, right? And then it appears inside of your favorites, so you always can look at it whenever you want. And currently I'm working on the backend part, because this is, I believe in you too. Yeah, I believe in you too, Karim. You can also start your project if you want to. So what kind of project are you looking for? There is like a lot out there. The hardest part is choosing one, probably, and actually starting. And then from there, it's every time you learn something new. As you can see, I mean, I'm 2 years into this project, and I'm still learning more stuff, like currently. So we are optimizing how the app actually loads the messages, because that was very slow and from a user perspective not ideal. I heard of this rule that if you want to work with your computer like very smoothly, then it should be like responsive to you in less than 400 milliseconds, which is very fast, I think. Most applications probably can't do that. Even partially AWS doesn't. I just saw some of your videos about Nest.js, so I thought you're building a project from scratch. We are actually, so like every Wednesday is my regular stream time, 18 o'clock. Nest.js is pretty cool. You're learning it too. Sweet. Yeah, Nest.js is amazing, and it gives you so much in so little time, and it's still very extensible. So we actually used it at my previous workplace, which is company level. Like we were 15 and are extending to ever more developers with multiple APIs using it. So it's definitely something also used in actual production, and fun to learn. I definitely like the style, as well as, I mean, they prescribe so much in the sense that you don't need to think about the non-relevant stuff. You can just use their format and then concentrate on building your application. Like, I don't know, if you're building a business, depending on your business case and stuff. We have access denied here. Thanks. Yeah. Tell me about your project. I'm very, very curious. If you, I don't know, if you have a GitHub repo, I'm very interested also to look into that one. Can also share it here on screen. No doubt about it. By the way, this app is also on GitHub. So for our regular stream, we kind of have it. Our regular stream is currently building kind of Twitch chat based battles, like turn-based battles, Final Fantasy or D&D style battles. where a monster attacks us, and then we, together with everybody in the chat, we defeat that. We actually built a backend for it with Nest.js, which then saves all the data, so we can, over multiple streams, have this, have people level up and get stronger and maybe collect some equipment and all of that. We did finish the backend in the sense of basic use cases there. We can play and it saves to the database and people start leveling up. And now next, so this yesterday, today is Thursday, right? Yeah. Yesterday we did stream on, let's see, on connecting the backend with Socket.io or web sockets to the front end, which you will use, slightly uses already Phaser.js for rendering the stuff. The good thing is we don't have to do any real logic on the front end, I think, except rendering. Yeah, Phaser.js is a HTML5 game framework, which makes it easier to draw stuff. We have some microservices in our company, and I thought it would be great to use Nest.js to migrate some old code. This is my GitHub. Yeah, Phaser.js is, you see it from time to time in mobile apps, I think. Yeah, it is fairly popular. They even gave us some. They actually even gave us some shout outs thanks to them. So they are also, I think, on. There are not that many JavaScript and or TypeScript based game frameworks, but Phaser is definitely one of them. Phaser, I think, if you look at it at npm, they do have at least some amount of regular downloads, and it's not like you need to download it every time. 12,000 people. The community is actually pretty active. Good stuff, good stuff. Yeah. And they have a lot of, like, if you go to Phaser Labs, you can actually look at all of this stuff, which is nice. For example, you want to know how you can do images. Okay, yeah, of course, we have a blend test here. Oh, this uses blending. Then you can look at the test at the code. And as you can see, this is not much to draw this thing and then have a. I think it's even using some normal mapping here to, because you see that when it's on the nose, it's larger. That's part of the image, probably the normal mapping. So here you add an image, you add another image, and then you set the add blend mode. And have an update method which moves it up and down here, the slide. That's cool. It does a lot of heavy lifting for you. Definitely. It definitely does. That's why we aim to use it as well. Looking at your GitHub here, wiki clone, React waste, guess color, and 42sh in C. Oh, I actually cannot speak any C or C++. It's a shame, but I have no idea about the very low level, like hardware close programming language. I think you can do a lot of stuff with it. Most of my stuff is TypeScript or JavaScript. Nice. Yeah. Nest.js in production. If you aim to do it, do not choose Postgres together with type ORM. There's a bug. an unfortunate bug that maybe they have fixed it. Postgres, whenever you use joins, it was like incredibly slow. So be aware of that one. Massive performance issues. I think maybe that's it. Yeah, that might be it. In Postgres, if you have many relationships on your database and you want to, it's only Postgres as far as I know. So you can choose any of the others, and it should be fine. Oh, they actually updated the list. I didn't know it supported Aurora and Cockroach or Cordova as well. Expo? Wait, what? Yeah. That's unfortunate. That is very unfortunate, and there were a lot of, maybe that's not the right. I don't think that's the right issue. There was one older. I think that's the one. Also Postgres and stuff. So be aware of that one before you push it into production, because they appear very quickly, those performance issues with TypeORM, unfortunately. Other than that, I like both TypeORM as well as Nest.js, definitely. But that was definitely one issue that cost us a lot of time in my last job. The TypeScript tea time, I think I shared that one. The awesome app, that's this guy here, this nice little friend. You can actually not click this button because it's private. but other than that, yeah, everything is open source. We are currently working on the backend part. Do we have the backend here? You are awesome at backend, which is written with the help of Serverless. So we're doing AWS Lambda and all this fun stuff. We are thinking of using Postgres. Oh man. Then I probably saved you like $10,000 just now. You can pay me later. Yeah, that's definitely one very big issue. Look into that before you use Postgres together with TypeORM. I did get your follow. That's probably worth 10,000. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, you weren't. I'm not streaming like 5 hours already, do I? No, probably not. 3 hours. So let's try to get this finished by now. Currently, we get, when I call this test function, which is invoking another function. So I'm calling this function here. It is invoking this GSX to JSON, so Google Sheets X to JSON format, because the Google Sheets on Google Sheets we have our all of our data, because it's like the best, the simplest backend that you can have and the most easiest to use. It looks kind of like this. So you have each row is one data entry for one day. But Google Sheets, if you use their API, it's like, oh my goodness, their JSON format is incredible, like multiple layers deep, and then it's also like, well, it's terrible. So we use this function here. All the credit goes to the person who originally wrote it, this guy, and I have copied the source code because it's MIT license, I think, and I'm hosting it myself. They actually introduced a bug in between that broke my stuff. So we use this other, we call this other Lambda function. Every like hexagon that you see here is one Lambda function. We call this other Lambda function to get all the data. And then we are currently trying to push it, upload it to the AWS S3 bucket. And here we get currently permission issues. We were able to already upload it at some point. If I go to S3 here again, the data still looks slightly off, to be honest, but we do have a file inside of here called messages, and it has the right permissions and stuff. So that part works from time to time, but we do get into permission errors in our automated stuff. And I think the problem is, oh no, 1544. Yeah, okay. I think the problem is that we do not have, it's probably not really visible to you guys. Can I see the permission? Thank you. I want to see it as a JSON. I think the problem is that so when we specify the resource here, we need to specify that it is allowed to push into any sub-resource, any like directory inside of this bucket. And for that to happen automatically, or is it just, if I do this, does that already work? I don't think it does. Let's try that. If that doesn't work, we have to do the following. We use AWS CloudFormation's intrinsic function. Trying to learn the verbs here. Which is, I think, join. Intrinsic functions reference. And I think it's function join. Yeah, that's the one that we want to use. And it just concatenates strings. We want to use that one. And then we specify an array. And this array will just concatenate the output of this, which is the Amazon resource name, like the unique identifier inside of AWS, with \***. And that should be it. So if this doesn't work. Yeah. So Karim, tell me maybe how did you find our stream at all? I'm very curious. That's definitely one thing that I still need to optimize, of course, so that we get more people in here and can play the I have this vision of playing our D&D game with like 20 people, which will be a lot of fun, and then rendering it on the screen, and all the kind of Final Fantasy characters try to slay down the monsters. You looked for Nest.js keyword. I see. Sweet. Nice. So it is definitely worth for me to include the technology. Good to know. I learned something. Thank you. That helps. That helps a lot. So we have redeployed it now, and let's call it again. My guess is we get access denied. Exactly. So let's use this one. I don't know why it. Okay. Apparently is that correct? Do I need a colon here? No, I don't need a colon here, right? No, it doesn't like that. So probably we need to write it like this. Do I have that here? Fn join. Oh, yeah, okay. This one is correct because it's an array. I thought, but maybe not. Resources is resource can be an array or one single string, I think. So it's an AWS IAM issue or question. So let's try this, and then I hope it works. Fortunately, those deploys don't really cost us anything. Oh, it should be a string. If we do it like this, does that work? Because that's exact. Oh, no, it failed. Resource function colon join at 0 should be a string. No, it shouldn't. Darn. No, why you no work? AWS intrinsic functions nested. And I was pretty sure it worked. Exclamation mark ref, exclamation mark, whatever. Find in map, import value. Yeah. So if you look for our very first pretty much every stream that I'm doing, I also put into the highlights, the complete stream. So it's available like forever. So if you go to my page and look at, shouldn't there be something here? Yeah, at videos, and inside of the highlights, you can see that starting which stream? Number 8, number 7, here. Starting here, we started building a Mongoose backend with Nest.js. And then we continue from there on, like all the time. There might be one episode about AWS CDK, but other than that, we're pretty much building this Nest.js application more and more and more and more. Yeah, perfect. Other than that, the docs of Nest.js are pretty good. Seriously, if you follow these first steps and stuff, they are very good. I can definitely say. I learned it myself this way originally. Of course, there's then stuff to figure out, like, okay, validation somehow doesn't work the way I expected, or I get a string here instead of a number. Maybe there is something that I've missed and stuff. But the basics are definitely inside of this. Yeah, first steps overview. So I recommend start here. Interceptors I actually never used, but up to the point of guards. And then depending on what you need, it is worth looking into either techniques. For example, if you want to work with Mongo, it's definitely probably worth to look into Mongo. If you want to work with database, it's definitely worth to look into this one. And then they also have more like recipes. For example, Mongoose, which we actually don't use. Not quite, but type ORM. If you use WebSockets, so we are currently looking, last stream we looked a lot into this one. Yeah, I get that feeling. So for the people, for other people who are watching here maybe, I really want to use just because it is well structured and it is using inversion of control, IOC. Yeah, that's definitely one thing. Definitely. One very nice thing about it. I did see a lot of Express applications which are just like all over the place. Some people work this way and some people work that way and some other people work that way. And Nest.js definitely, if you want your team to converge on one style, it's definitely one big step. Also very opinionated in a sense, but opinionated doesn't mean bad. Like Redux is also opinionated, but still it's because it solves its use case so well. It's also very good. In fact, I use it a lot in my in the app. Getting back here, we still get errors. Join doesn't do what we want. Join doesn't do what we want. role statement at position 1, which is this guy. Resource function join. How did it look before? So this one worked. It was properly evaluated. Serverless fn : join. Serverless framework. Thank you, Google. Or do I have to provide this? That would be so ridiculous. They have a double minus. Why is there a... Oops. Like so? Does that change anything? I doubt that it does. I mean, the good thing here is it's very fast, our feedback cycles, because it immediately tells us that it's not working. Should not have more than 2 items. Why not? Oh, maybe that's why they are using kind of this double. I have no idea what's that supposed to mean in YAML. I should learn more YAML. But learning just the format is kind of very annoying. That's what I like about JSON. It's just fairly straightforward. These kind of things are just like, wait. Well, this time it worked. Maybe that's it. Maybe. I said maybe. Our fn : join is finally going to do what we wanted to. Yeah, this will take a moment. Let's drink some tea. Delimiter with nested array. So it's an array inside of an array. I mean, that does make sense. Yeah, that definitely does make sense. Very cool. Thank you. That's one thing that I'm always hoping for with these streams. That yeah, in a sense, we work together to understand what is going on and learn. So YAML, I probably should say. How to merge YAML arrays. That's not what I want. Let's start with YAML delimiter. Oh man, yeah, you have to definitely have to learn more about it. Other than the white space stuff, I don't really know. Let's cancel right here and reload. We should now see that this is updated at 16:17. No, it wasn't. Maybe it's just Hmm. Well, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. Oh, perfect. Thank you. So how can I create nested lists in YAML? I want to get this kind of object. Yeah, okay. Maybe my observation, opinion that JSON is simpler is wrong. Because you can definitely do weird stuff like this. This one isn't working. Oh, he's actually doing the join thing. Nice. So maybe we have to do this kind of fun stuff. Almost correct. Are we looking at the same thing that we looked at before? Sweet. So I'm gonna read that later to improve my knowledge. For whatever reason, this rule wasn't updated, which is terribly annoying, to be honest. Why? So if I do, we should see access denied. What? 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 It's working? How can it work if it didn't update? What the? How? Huh? Look at the JSON. Now it says \star. Put object. I mean, it did work. It is weird that the timestamp didn't update, but it works. And now we should see, let's say I don't complain. I sure hope that this is just not, it's not just a one-hit wonder, but even if I remove all of this, so undeploy and then redeploy everything, it still works, hopefully. But other than that, I'm very happy to see that the deployment seems to have been successful. And now we can look at the S3 bucket and try to figure out how to fix this. This oh, sweet. It says .json now because I Last time I forgot the name. And if I look at it, it's empty. Yeah, empty. The good thing is it is actually public, I think. Yes, it is public. The only problem is it's empty. So we have to figure out how to actually fill it with data. That's one thing that I still want to remove. After the stream, let me just make a quick note here. Remove resource role programs. Okay, so close that one. Somehow our put does not work as expected. S3 body. Node upload JSON to S3. So what he does is body users, blah, blah, blah. Is users a JS object or actual JSON? It should be the latter. So if it is the former, you need to use JSON.stringify or something equivalent. With stringify, it also doesn't work. He stringifies it and sets the content type. That's what we do. The messages isn't empty, right? Console.log JSON. I think we can just log the whole thing. No, that won't work. I think JSON.stringify. No, I think we can log the whole object, like so. AWS CloudFormation. AWS is very, very clever on that front. So redeploy. We're getting closer and closer. So by now we have this. So the export messages to S3. That's the function that we are editing. This upload, it is actually happening. The only issue is that there is no data. So we have to go back to this guy. Whoa, what did I do? So kind of this one is good. This one is back to in progress. And then it's happening, the magic. So what I want to do here is go to CloudFormation because it's faster than serverless. Sorry, not CloudFormation, but to CloudWatch. Which is the log services of AWS. Let's go to Lambda. Log groups. And then we have somewhere in here export messages to S3. And now we just have to wait until it actually deployed and then see how it looks like. Maybe we made a mistake while doing this guy. It is definitely possible. Here we had an issue. Here we had the payload. So this is what we are working with. We do parse the payload, which hopefully works. And then we go to the .body.rows. And then it should be an array of stuff. So let's invoke this function again. Success. So if I reload here, we go to the newest one and we see undefined. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But it also does an error, which is interesting. If we do body.rows. So body appears to be existing. Console.log body. And then we can say const messages equals body dot rows. So one side note, I would love to work with serverless offline, but unfortunately, because we do all of this integrative logic, like invoking another Lambda function and putting stuff to S3, it definitely requires either more setup or it's not possible with working offline. So all we can do is push everything, so deploy everything, and then try inside of AWS. Usually, a serverless offline, which is it's a plugin so that you can work like you are in AWS most of the time, but you actually only call localhost all of the time. It's very, very useful. I would definitely recommend if you want to try to work with serverless. Will save you so much time, incredible amounts. Do I log the correct one? Wait, bucket name. Undefined, undefined. Here's the bucket name. Undefined, undefined. Okay, yeah, let's wait for this to deploy and then see what we've got. Body seems to be existing as part of this object, because else it would throw, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it should throw something like undefined or cannot read property body of undefined, or null, or whatever is the result of JSON.parse. So out of this comes an object with a body property, because it did not fail also when I did .rows here. I think we know that much. But then it does not have a rows property apparently, which is weird. Maybe we have to JSON stringify it again. That might be true. That might be it. Let's go one up. 29, I think that's the newest invocation. Here we go. This guy is undefined. That's messages. We do have the body up here. It does have a property rows. Huh? Huh? Wait, but it's a... Is this... So this, it is a JSON. The question is it a JSON because AWS is clever and converts a JavaScript object into a JSON? Or is it a JSON in this body thing? What I don't get is why this .rows does not do what I want. So maybe if type of body is not equal to object, throw new error, body from payload.body from GSX to JSON is not an object. So let's do it like this. This shouldn't make a difference. This shouldn't make any difference if I do this. But maybe it does. We are definitely on the right way. We have all the data. The only question is, how do we access this property? And for an unknown reason, we cannot access it with rows. Which is weird. This is like object bracket, right? Yeah, it is. Hmm. Very weird, very weird. If we lock the body, it's this object. Why can I not do dot rows? That's I didn't make a typo, right? No. It finished. Let's do that again. Payload.body is not an object. So it's probably a string that's just very well formatted. So maybe we have to kind of double parse here. Like JSON.parse body and then dot rows. What I don't quite understand is why if you have nested, if a member contains nested objects, and nested objects are transformed before the parent object is. I would have expected this one to be transformed as well. Let's hope it works. If messages, type of messages is, wait, array dot is array of messages, throw new error, messages is not an array, and now we redeploy once more. Come on, this is it. I think this is it. I think this might be it. So either this one fails completely and terribly, or we've got what we wanted to. Now that I think about it. So we do get the whole payload as an object, which is stringified by AWS. But inside of our function Google Sheets to JSON, we do say, okay, here's the data, which is some dictionary, but stringify it. So it's double stringified. And if you double stringify something, you also have to double parse it, probably. And that's the issue that we had here. So JSON stringify error true. What does error true do again? Oh, here. We are here. This is if body is an error. Sorry, if body is not an error, then we just stringify it. So it's double stringified. And that's maybe why we also need to double parse. Come on, let there be light. Yes, you have to parse it twice. Payload, I forgot to remove the, damn it. Damn it, I forgot to remove this one. Yes, it's not an object if it's not a string. It's not a... Yeah, I think we can just do this. This time. I'm telling you. This time. So this one is actually a string. Body was stringified by GSX to JSON handler response or handler. Yeah. So implication, need to parse twice. Come on, you can do it. This time. We've got this. We've got this. I mean, we've got this. It's the time. And then we remove all the logs and everything is fine. I believe in you. I believe in you. Be a bit quicker. It takes a lot of time to deploy this again and again. Yeah, definitely also something to look into, whether I can make this work with the help of serverless offline. That would be greatly helpful. But I doubt it will, because I mean, how should serverless offline know when I invoke a function by a string name? That's just like I'm invoking a Lambda function from within a Lambda function, so it would need to look at the code to verify or to figure out, oh, you're actually doing cross Lambda function calls. So I doubt that it does that. That would be probably too much to ask. Success. Let's look at the, so shall we look at the logs first or at the, let's look at the logs. There it is. And if I go to S3, come on. Current message. Messages.json. Look at it go! We did it! High five! Woo! Sweet! T for everybody! If you like, you can also do a exclamation mark high five HF. What I find interesting is I actually have never said that it should include spaces, but whatever works. Woo! More tea for everyone. And yeah, Sweet. Very happy that this works. Let's save and let's stage it. I'm very, very hungry. let's just remove all of this debugging stuff. This one can actually stay. That's a relevant one. We still have to do the to-dos. I can do that myself. The pattern that I will use is, did I use it somewhere already? Apparently I didn't use it in this app. The pattern that I want to use is kind of have a TypeScript thing here called interface env, and then I say region should be a string, and I say you too difficult name, and bucket name is also a string, and now I want to have a function validate env, which is a function which receives input, which is just process.env as default, and then it maps to the following const. It does all of this, bams, and actually I do want to do the following: validate env or assert env, and with the help of TypeScript we can do something funny here. We can say assert env is env. So let's do, this is a nullable partial env that we want to add inside of here. And please be aware, asserts needs to have a function statement. If you do it with const and asserts, then it won't work. Wouldn't it be better to check if the payload is an object before stringifying it? Let's see where exactly. This guy, it would be better to before parsing it maybe, but that's fine, I think, because if it fails, it fails, and I get an error, which is fine. Or do you mean you do mean something like this, right? The payload and type of response.payload is equal to string, or maybe like not all of this. Then throw new error res. I'm talking about the response from GSX to JSON you showed earlier. So this guy, yeah, that's the payload. Yeah, that is the payload. I mean, we do have control over it, so I do specify it right here, which means I am very sure how it looks like, and if it fails completely, it will fail at any point here, and then you are absolutely right. If this is a code that I not only write for basically me, then I would probably do it. Why would I not do it when I'm alone? I don't know. Let's write it. Res.payload is not a string. Let's write it. You're absolutely right. So if that one is not a string, then do stuff. I think TypeScript needs some help here. We should say const payload equals res.payload. And then, so TypeScript here doesn't see that we actually have an assertion up here. So the way to fix that is just say this, and it has to be payload, a small letter now, and now it's really a string. JSON.parse apparently didn't error. It should error. I am in strict mode. It should have errored. That's interesting. Undefined. Undefined is not assignable. Weird. Okay. Now it's definitely a string. And then again, if so what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. We should not just assert to a degree, we should not just assert that our upstream service is doing the right thing. We should have some level of validation that the upstream service, which is GSX to JSON, actually does the correct thing and returns the result that we expect it to. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'll do that right now. So body is a string, hopefully. So if body, let's say question mark or string or undefined maybe. Maybe unknown. Can we say unknown here? And then we do if type of body is not a string, then throw new error payload or res.payload.body must be a string. Rest.payload. And I think now body is a string. Yeah, thank you, TypeScript. And we have actually a valid use case for unknown, because we actually don't know what comes back, right? Could be anything. Nice use case for unknown. And then all of a sudden TypeScript says, oh, it's actually a string, because you have this type guard here. And then everything goes through just fine. Perfect. Now I think we can, what else are we missing? We do log an error here. And I do want to verify console log this one as well, because it's a different one from the error. And yeah, I suppose that's it for this guy. Right, we need to do these changes as well here. So if we do process, it doesn't return it, right? It must be a Boolean. So const env equals process.env, and then we do assert env, which means now TypeScript knows exactly that region is actually a string and not undefined, possibly or optional string. So the question mark is missing right here, because we use this asserts env is env, and that's our validation. So we can remove these guys, and they definitely are strings. or undefined. Except when they are not, because serverless offline does weird stuff. I think we've got this. That's about it. Use the bucket name here. We might for now that's fine, I think. Let's redeploy once more and then run the function once more, and I also will remove actually these two files. Delete, permanently delete, bams, and then we see whether everything works, and then I can finally get to eat dinner, lunch. What's the mix of dinner and lunch, or lunch and dinner? I mean, you have brunch for breakfast and lunch, so it's like lunch, dinner, dinner. Is that a word? Is that a thing? Yeah, there should be some. It's just coffee time, right? Or tea time. I mean, yeah, we are the TypeScript tea time. It's definitely the tea time. It's gotta be. Yeah. Yeah, so making some advertisement time while we're waiting for this to deploy. Wednesdays, so Central European summertime, 18 o'clock is our regular stream. You can also find that one in the schedule, of course. And yeah, next time we will do Phaser.js, and we will play together our turn-based battles, which will be a lot of fun, I think. And having everybody's avatar kind of on the screen displayed, that would also be a nice feature. Everybody can choose his own avatar out of a list, let's say, because we still need to make sure that nothing that's getting uploaded is copyright relevant. And then they start attacking the monster, and the HP come up, and on top of the screen, like up here, we have a big red health bar for the monster, boss battle style. Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Ooh, it's gonna be fun. Let's finish this one. Come on. Success. And if I reload here, there it is. And it's public. I hope it's really public. So let's go into pawn mode. And it's really public. And this can now be consumed by our app, which is like, do I still have it open? No, I don't. So if we go into our app, the only thing that I need to do now is link to this. And now the app also does the correct thing, I think. Emu. So let's look at our emulator here for a second. You can replenish now. Congrats. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you also for joining. It was a great pleasure to see you, and hope to see you again, definitely. Let's look at the app for a second here. This is large enough. I can make it slightly larger even. Bams, that's a very big big application. So it should now make a call to this API and fetch something. The thing that worries me here is why it is still loading. Building the JavaScript bundle and then starting the project. For whatever reason, it didn't build the bundle before. More waiting, more waiting, more waiting, 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 more waiting, 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 waiting. This one should be fairly quick. Did it get slower since the last version? So this one is using Expo, by the way, React Native Expo. At some point, I did post the link to the repository. Yeah, I did. Yeah, that one's fine. Ignore this one. Somehow it doesn't. No, it's not working. Why? Why? Is it too fast? Probably that's not an issue. For whatever reason, this fetch messages, your i.fetch messages, is not working the way I expected it to be. Because it expects rows. Okay. We actually simplified our data model. Oh, that also means I have to change a lot. It works. It worked, and look how fast it is. Seriously, before it took like 1 second or something to reload, and now it's just incredibly fast. As soon as it starts, bam, there it is. It didn't even show the spinner. Success! I call it success, and this is the point where I do !HF once more and say, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, really appreciate the time you spent with me, and I did learn a lot. I hope it was fun. So, Karim, if you wanna, please check out the Nest.js stuff that I've sent to you. It starts from the very beginning and gives a broad overview. Other than that, the docs of Nest.js are pretty good. So yeah, hope to see you next time. Next week, Wednesday latest. I might stream more, although I get my vaccination tomorrow, finally. So I'm probably sick for the next 3 days. Hearing about the side effects of the vaccination. So latest is next week, Wednesday, where we do Phaser.js, also JavaScript or TypeScript, to be precise. Thank you so much, and see you next time. Enjoy your tea. We can rate somebody maybe, but probably nobody. Finite Singularity is online. Finite Singularity is awesome. I will actually join his stream after, like not the stream, but as a viewer, I will join as soon as I finished my lunch. So let's rate him. He's a really cool dude, developing an API. I'm not sure whether he's doing that today, but he's developing an API for working with the Twitch API better, because there are actually 3 Twitch APIs and all have different formats. It's terrible. And he kind of unifies them. That's pretty cool. Maybe he's doing something else today, but let's see.